tapering next week?
I think it is likely that we will see the pace of tapering being maintained going forward. I think clearly we are very much in a data-dependent mode, and of course some might point to that payrolls disappointment as a reason or a justification to slow the pace of tapering. But I think the Fed will look through that. I think they'll look at the underlying dynamics, which remain comparatively strong overall. Certainly things like job openings continue to advance very strongly, and that's a key leading indicator for prospective Fed Chair Janet Yellen. So I think there is an expectation that we will see this pace continued, and I think that should keep US yields relatively well supported. US spread should favour the US dollar, and I think that will underpin a continued grind higher as far as the US dollar is concerned.
So what about dollar euro, dollar yen? Where do you see those levels going in the short term?
Well, I think euro-dollar is obviously a little interesting because, of course, we do get some economic data in Germany, which might provide a little bit of a lift in the euro. But I think rallies up towards the sort of 135.90, 136 area in euro-dollar, I think, are worth fading. I think 10-year spreads Europe versus the US will continue to move in favour of the US. So I think that underpins a broader downside bias in euro-dollar, getting back into the mid to upper 134s in the next few sessions. I think for dollar yen it's a little more interesting because I think there is a residual increasing line of resistance coming in around that sort of 105 to 105.50 area, and I think markets are mindful of some of those comments that we saw from Jack Lew last week about a cheaper yen being ultra competitive. So I think that probably suggests that we might see a little bit of a cap even if we see a stronger dollar up towards those sort of levels.
And just a quick word on cable. Where do you see breakout levels for sterling?
Well, I think the UK is getting a continued background of good news. The IMF will be another reason for that today. But I think once we get north of 165, 1020 area, I think it does become a little more difficult to see a further puncture to the top side. Yes, we've seen moves higher than that, but I think those are the sort of levels that I would perhaps be looking to fade. And I think for sterling, I think there are opportunities in other areas in terms of the crosses, whether it be short of euro sterling, long of sterling against the Australian dollar or the Swiss franc. So I think there are opportunities in sterling, but perhaps I'd look for the crosses rather than necessarily against the US dollar.